As someone who has been an advocate for trisomy 18, also known as Edwards syndrome, for the last 2.5 years, I feel remiss to not talk about what's going on in Texas. If you haven't heard by now, there is a young woman down in Texas who is a mother of two who is pregnant with her third child. The third child has been diagnosed with trisomy 18. Now, I am not sure to what level the baby has been diagnosed with trisomy 18, if she's had any amniocentesis, if the doctors have seen abnormalities on ultrasounds. We don't know, and I haven't really seen any information. But from what I've gathered, her doctors have advised her to have an abortion. My understanding is that she's had several trips to the emergency room, and so it sounds like a very serious situation. Now, I am not here to get into the politics of everything, because Lord knows there's enough of that going on this platform and a million other platforms. The thing that has gotten me incensed, though, is the amount of misinformation that is out there right now about trisomy 18, otherwise known as Edwards syndrome. Misinformation such as this.
This comes after she just learned at the end of November that her baby, and she's 20 weeks along in this pregnancy, was diagnosed with what is known as Edwards syndrome, a genetic condition that is fatal in nearly all cases.
And this.
She was told her fetus has a rare disorder and would likely be stillborn or likely only have a week to live at most.
And this.
Her pregnancy was diagnosed with Trisomy 18, a condition causing multiple structural abnormalities, and was deemed terminal with no chance of survival. She was also told by her doctors that carrying the pregnancy to term could jeopardize her health and ability to have children in the future.
I mean, it seems to me like everyone who is covering this story basically did a Google search and decided to spew whatever nonsense they saw on Google out of their face. The first thing that we tell prospective parents is to not do a Google search, because the information that you'll find is outdated and has no relevancy to what is going on today with regards to Edwards syndrome. There's a lot of good groups on Facebook. We've started a wonderful web page that tells everything that you could possibly want to know about Edwards syndrome. So the information is out there. You just have to know where to find it, and that's part of the issue. It's why I started this page in the first place. Now, there are a lot of fatalities with regards to Edwards syndrome. There's no way around that. But our goal is to make it so that those babies have a better chance. The numbers that you see are getting better and better. And Down syndrome went through this in the 60s, where people thought, well, if somebody has Down syndrome, they're pretty much going to die. So we have been kind of following in their footsteps and hoping that we can get to a point where more babies survive and live better lives. We are repairing their hearts. We are giving them breathing tubes. We are giving them G-tubes so that they can eat. These children are going to therapy. They have devices to help them walk or get around. There are devices to help them communicate. I know full trisomy children who are going to school. So for everyone to have this notion that every single baby that is diagnosed with trisomy 18 is dying left and right is so frustrating to me. It sets us back. It sets our community back. It sets these children back. And it's not helpful, because doctors then hear that and they think, well, if all these babies are going to die anyways, why should we repair their hearts? My heart goes out to this couple. It really does. And I wish that they would have found our page. I wish that they would have found the Edwards Syndrome Association, because I feel like we could have helped them or guide them. And at the end of the day, whatever decision they made, they would have had as much information as possible. They would have had everything that they needed to be able to make that decision. And it's a horrible decision to have to make. It's a horrible conversation to have with your doctor. And all of us, I would say 99.9% of us who have children with trisomy 18 have had that conversation with our doctor at some point. I've heard dozens of stories just on this page alone from parents who have had tests done on their baby. They've had ultrasounds. Doctors have seen something on the ultrasound. They were told to abort. They chose not to. And then the baby has been fine. So it's hard to say, what people are saying. The one thing that kind of threw me in this whole situation was the fertility issue. It's not something I'm too familiar with. We haven't come across it. in mothers who've had a baby with trisomy 18 have had issues afterwards. I know several mothers who have had a typical pregnancy after having a baby with trisomy 18. So that to me is something that as an organization, I feel like we could look into. It's just sad. It's a sad story all around. It's a sad situation. I wish that these parents didn't have to go through that. I wish no one had to go through this. I feel like it's going to be difficult for parents of children with trisomy 18 to advocate for their children for a while to doctors and hospitals, because this story has been blown way out of proportion.